Hello and welcome to Cutter Farms. We're back with another episode of UMRV Upper Mississippi River Valley, and today we're going to be wrapping up our harvest finally. We are going to be harvesting this corn. I don't think I've had a chance to really use this corn head on anything this year yet. And the dry corn, drying this corn and selling it as dry corn will give us something to sell off here in like the December-January timeframe, I think, which is going to be some much needed cash in the bank, I think, to get us through the winter months and through planting season and everything. We'll get a lot of money for selling all these soybeans come the July timeframe. But until then, we do need to start bringing in a little bit more money on the farm. The dairy is kind of keeping us alive on a day-to-day basis, but we need to get a little bit more cash if we want to keep growing, upgrading equipment, buying more fields, all that good stuff. So I've gone ahead and got some of the equipment out here into the field already. We have moved the time forward a little bit. We're into the second week of October here, and we have the slurry spreader over there running no problems. I'm super excited how well the Courseplay auto drive integration is working out with that equipment setup. We've been just going to town. In fact, as soon as he's done with the headland passes on that field, we need to move him over to that big soybean field on the other side of the road so that we can kind of keep going. Over here, I'm trying to think. I think we might actually just leverage a regular worker on this field. It's a pretty straightforward field. There's not a lot of curves, and the only thing we have to worry about is on the far end of the field there, we'll have a little bit of whatchamacallit headland passes we need to do before we run into those trees. So we're going to try and do this manually to get down to the other end of the field and get the headlands opened up. And then we'll just set off a worker and kind of manage this ourselves today. Since we are doing it manually, let's go ahead and just grab a GPS track here so that we can make sure we kind of keep going straight. And then we are filling up the hopper pretty quick here. I always forget just how voluminous corn can be. We've already got a little over 100 bushels in there, but I think we'll get to the end of this field before we fill up. The goal is really just to get to the end and take those headland passes off, and then everything else from there is going to be a lot easier for sure. As soon as we get the combine going here on this field, then I think the other job we've got to do is get that mower going on some of these small grass fields across the road over there. I think those are both ready to go. And we jumped a row here, or we picked up a row, one of the two. Looks like we picked up an extra row here. So I'm going to just back things up and see if we can move our course over just a smidge. There we go. That should pick up that extra row we're missing. And of course, once we get up here to the tree line, I suppose we're going to actually have to move back over maybe. I'm not sure how this field works out as we get a little bit further down here. It's been a season since we harvested anything on it, but you can see from the yield map that we are doing a lot better than our previous year's yield, which is really exciting. I am moving my course over just a little bit to try and make sure we're not missing anything as we get down here. And yeah, we do have a bit of a stretch here. I'm going to go straight through this though. No need to move about the rows. And then we are going to have to get rid of the GPS as we take off this rounded headland parts. This is the part of the field that I was worried about. But as I was saying, that yield map is looking better pretty much across the board for everywhere that we've gotten to. The soil's a little bad down here in this part of the field, in the corner, I guess we'll call it. But the rest of the field, man, did we get into some nice dark green yield numbers there. Now I'm getting real full. I'm just hoping that I can sneak out the far end of this loop before we get full, but it's looking unlikely, to be honest. We're already at 95% of the hopper. We've just got another 100 feet to go, and it's not going to happen. Unfortunate. There it is. All right, well, let me just scoot over here a little bit. Well, this thing's kind of got a poor backup maneuver. And I'm hoping I can get the grain cart to squeeze in here. We'll see. Looks like the slurry spreader made a whole round while we were going down the length of the field there. That machine is not the widest implement we've got, but it really just keeps cranking. It's always in motion, so I'm having a lot of fun with the manure spreading, especially since we don't have to do the driving. I had to put the pipe in on the grain cart here to avoid running into the trees, but we did manage to kind of sort of sneak down in here and get everything turned around and lined up so we can unload the combine here. Tight squeeze past the header, and that should be enough for us to get started here. So what we're going to do is I'm going to finish taking off the headland pass, and then we'll start going down the long row here again and unload on the way back down. I think is going to be the way to handle this, just to keep the combine moving. The up-down rows are nice and long and straight on this field, which is going to make for some easy unloading. But first, we've just got to knock out these headland passes. I think what we'll do is 3 passes. I'll come back up into the corner here, and then I'll come back down to this other far edge, so my pipe is on the outside as we head back up. And that should give us plenty of room to turn around, especially with a little bit of a grass area there on the edge of the headland. Now, I suppose I should also clean up this straggly bits over here into the corner. We're not gonna be able to hit that with the long row, although we diverted to kind of come around and clean up the headland. Maybe what I should do is just square this off with the GPS path that we've already got loaded up. So I'm going to attempt to find that GPS track here. I think I've cut a little bit far in. It's somewhere around there. There we go. All right, so yeah, we've messed this up royally. Let me back up and see if we can hit these few rows that I missed. There we go. Got to keep things nice and tidy here on Kedrick Farms. No stray stalks. And then all we've got to do is make it to that end row again, and we can start unloading on the go, hopefully. I'm a little bit nervous that we're not going to make it down there again. We're already in the high 80s for capacity on this tank, and last time is any indication, the yield gets a little bit better as I get on the second half of this headland part here. So I'm actually going to purposefully only take a handful of rows, not the full width, just to make sure I get to the end row here. We're 99%, 100 we didn't make it. Oh my goodness, we ran over the corn again. One of these days we'll get it right. It was so close that time. That's all right. We'll go ahead and unload a few bushels and then get the workers started and unload the rest on the way down here. I think half the fun for me, especially with things like corn harvest where there's such high volume, is playing these mental games and trying to figure out if I can pull something off or not. Unfortunately, usually the answer is no, you did not pull that off successfully. Ah, well. Here we go. Helper hired. Better hurry up and get this grain cart going, though, because we are pretty full already, and it's going to take me apparently a minute to catch up and get in the right position. Don't get full. AI worker Betty. Alright, it looks like we're actually going to have to follow this guy all the way down to the end row before we get the hopper fully unloaded at this rate. He's bringing so much corn in so fast that the unload speed on the combine can't quite keep up. I guess it is keeping up, but just by a little bit when we're on the move like this, which is always quite fascinating to me. My goodness, cannot talk today. I guess the good news is we'll have almost a semi-trailer full by the time we get back up here. Not quite. So I guess we won't be able to take the semi up right away, but pretty soon. I am curious to see, though, if the combine's going to be able to get all the way back down to the other end of the field. With one hopper, he should be able to, because we did it on the way down on the other side. But this side of the field seems like it's got a higher yield than the other half. There's a change in soil quality that kind of runs down the middle of this field. So I'm going to back up here just a smidge, let this guy get by me. There we go. And we'll see if he's able to handle things while we unload this. And I think go get a mower running. All right, we've got the Heston out of the shed here. It looks like our manure tanker is having a little bit of a struggle getting back into the point this time around. I don't know what's going on. Usually it seems to work out just fine, so something has definitely caused some problems here. I'm going to... oh, now I'm in the way. I was trying to sneak around here real quick and get out of the way, or get around him and get out of the way fast enough, but I have now gotten myself hung up on this concrete. Unfortunate. Now the question I have is, was that guy was probably just filling up in that awkward position. He wasn't actually backing up. That makes way more sense. So he's full and off to continue spreading. And I thought after all of my praise, maybe the auto drive worker had gotten dumb and wasn't able to do its job, but I should have given it more credit. It's got it all under control. So we're going to... I'm trying to think of the best way to do this field. I think we were running these fields manually, which I'm not quite ready to do a hay cutting by hand. So what I'm going to do is bring this over to the other field up on the hill here, which I think is a little bit better suited for course play. And we're going to set course play off to mow this field real quick, and that'll free me up to continue to manage the cornfield over here. I want to make sure we get that cornfield harvested here today. And as you can see, Betty has a nearly full grain tank again, so the combine is going to get held up waiting for us yet again while we get another job going, but that's okay. I think she'll be making her way back down towards us at least, so the auger should be on the right side to unload. I can't actually recall if we've run a course for mowing on this particular field yet or not. So this may be a first, but I think it should work out just fine. I'm not expecting a lot of problems. Generally do 4 headlands on mowing, up down rows. Looks good. And that generates instantly, which is awesome. Start on the first waypoint. Bada bing, bada boom. Everything is good to go. There we go. Looks good. All right, let's get in the grain cart here and see if we can get this combine moving. I always hate having our workers sitting around, especially when they're costing us money. We're using regular workers, and I think I might have wages turned off on my auto drive workers at least, and turned down, if not off, on course play, simply because I find that they're often idle and causing me problems. But for the base game workers, when we're doing something like this, there are mods that you can use to adjust prices, but I haven't bothered. We can afford to pay a little bit for worker fees. I just don't want them to get to be too exorbitant with just sitting around burning down the money while they're waiting on us. We did make it quite far though on the way back down this way, so I'm excited about that, and I was kind of expecting this combine to start moving once I got here. So we're gonna stop the worker and start the worker here again. There we go. Might as well unload on the go if we have the capability. I think by the time we get down there, we've definitely got enough corn to send the semi up to the yard, so we're gonna do that and figure out how the corn drying mechanics work. I'm a little bit nervous because I'm worried that we're going to have to figure out how to haul some propane over here to get the dryer working. I haven't paid any attention to that yet. I know some of the corn drying mods I've come across, you can purchase the propane right at the corn dryer, and then some of them require you to actually get a trailer of some kind and haul it from some other fill point around the map. So I'm really hoping for the former, because I really don't want to have to buy any special equipment. I usually like to be more realistic and just pretend that we're paying somebody to come out and deliver our fuel for the grain dryer. I don't know too many farmers who are running their own propane trailers to go pick it up. In fact, I think it's fairly heavily regulated. You have to be licensed to haul propane and stuff anyway. So I don't know. We'll find out though. I'm going 7 miles an hour up this hill, and it feels like I'm barely keeping up, so I'm kind of curious why the worker's able to go so fast. I felt like the header should be locked down to like 6 miles an hour for harvesting. Very interesting. Well, it looks like we have managed to empty the combine, so it should be able to make another time there and start heading back, and I've got plenty of corn in the grain cart here to fill up our semi. All right, we've got a full load. We are headed back up to the grain bins here. I didn't bother tarping it up because we're not really going that far. My curiosity is still getting the better of me. I really want to know how this is going to work out for us. And I must have turned off my interaction symbols at some point because I think I have to interact with this dryer in some capacity. So let me figure that out. If I turn those back on, yep, there's a little wrench symbol down there where I can go and try to do something with this thing. We've got the last hopper here unloading now. And if I come over here, I can manage production point. All right. The corn dryer requires propane. And yeah, we don't have any propane in here. So I am going to have to figure out how to haul propane. Unfortunate. Let me see if there's some kind of a mod for that then. Maybe the fuel trailer is set up? Nope. The liquid trailers are not set up for that either. There must be a custom mod that I'm going to have to use to haul propane, which is okay, but unfortunate because I don't think we've got anything installed on this save for that. All right, well, that's a bummer. We'll have to get our corn drying in just a little bit. I don't want to shut everything on the farm down just to go and install a mod that can haul propane. So we'll have to come back to that in just a little bit. It'll store in the wet tank for a few hours without too many problems. And it looks like our combine's already full. So we've got to do our best to be a little bit faster on these side jobs in between unloading the combine. The good news is we'll probably have almost another full semi-load between what's left in the grain cart and what we get out of the combine here when we get back up to the field. Maybe not quite another semi, but pretty close. Our AI worker just stopped due to lack of money. Apparently the leasing costs on our equipment ticked in here, and we ran out of funds to pay the hired help. So I am going to have to, once again, borrow a little bit more money from the bank so that we can keep going. And that's all right. We have a large enough capacity to do that right now. We've got a bit more to go on the bank loans, I'm pretty sure. Let me get this guy running down the field. We're at almost 2.9 million, not quite, 2.86. And we'll make back a good chunk of that on sold milk here over the next couple of days. But yeah, it's this is what I was talking about with needing to have a little bit more cash crops, and selling off some corn here in the winter is really going to help with that. So that's what we're going to do. And I just saw our slurry spreader starting to go by up on the hill there. Very nice. It's just always fun to see other equipment and jobs getting done on the farm right next to you while you're working on something else. We'll fire this up to get him unloading a little bit. We'll start off a worker and off we go. It wouldn't be a harvest season if I didn't get to do a little bit of corn harvest. It's my favorite activity in farm sim, or farming in general, I should say, is corn harvest. So this has been nice and therapeutic, even if it is a small field. Being able to just knock out a few acres like this is a lot of fun for me. I'm gonna back the speed down just a smidge. Man, that combine is going so much faster than I am at 6 miles an hour, so I guess we do have to keep up with 7 mile an hour on harvest now. I wish I'd looked at how much corn I had in the grain cart before I unloaded it into the semi there, so that I knew roughly how much we were going to need to fill it up. Looks like I'm going to have maybe 500-600 bushels by the time we get to the end row here, which will be awesome. But I don't think it's quite enough to fill up that semi because we didn't fill up that back compartment before we headed out. So I think we'd need maybe 700-800 bushel to really top things off, and we're just not going to get there. We'll be somewhere just short of 600 by the time we get to the end row here, I'm guessing. Either way, we'll go ahead and unload into the semi over here just to keep him moving, or keep our grain cart empty, since we are right at 50%. We want to make sure we can get that combine fully emptied when he gets to the end row here. And I suspect that our mowing got done over in the other field here. It looks like the worker has shut down there. So that's great. One more job off our plate. I do think I'm going to have to do this other little field manually though, which is okay. And after some discussion and comments on the previous videos, I do think we're going to pick up a baler again. I do think baling the hay was working out a little bit better for us. I know the forage box and picking that up and tossing it into the the harvest store was really convenient, and we may still toss bales into the harvest store, but I think as far as working in the field and picking them up and stuff, having the bales is going to be a little bit easier to do. And all I need to do is find a good auto load trailer to go along with that though. So we're going to get rid of that course. I could have saved that course, I suppose, for running the baler, but baling this isn't going to take that long. In fact, we might even get a merger or something and merge this up before we bale it, but we'll see when the time comes. I just wanted to get it cut and have it available to us. We'll deal with picking this up probably on the next episode here. I'm going to run this mower down to our other field though, just to get it into position and more remind me that we have that job to do when we get back to it. I think if it's sitting in this driveway right across from the farm here, I'll see it and remember what we're working on. Somewhere right around here ought to work out fine. And really, the only reason we can't run course play on this is this super tight point down here. It just doesn't seem to work out really well when I've tried it in the past. And it looks like our combine is already at 80% full. So we better hop in this here grain cart. Let's see if we can get down here to a better position and keep that combine moving this time. And we'll knock this field out in no time. It looks like our slurry spreader has finished up on this other field. I don't see any more headland passes, and I think I saw it just sitting down on the far end of the field there at a stop point, which is great. So we'll have to circle back and get that worker moving on the other really large field that we've got as soon as we get a point to take a break here. I think hopefully if we can just barely get this combine, I think we just got here in time. It was getting ready to stop. I think if I can unload this real quick, we'll have just enough time to go get the course running on that other big soybean field across the highway there. And I'm just realizing we're going to have enough to fill up this semi as well. So I think what I'll do is not run the semi up just yet. We have enough capacity in this grain cart if I dump a little bit into the semi to unload the combine one more time. So we'll get this unloaded here just to make sure the grain cart's ready to go, and then we are still gonna hop over and take care of that slurry spreader. I really want to get that going because that's gonna be the longest job that we've got left. Here we are, so I don't need to save this course at all. And we'll get rolling on out here to the other field. We're way down in the ditch there. Make sure we don't get this tanker stuck anywhere. I love the steering on these Hool tanks. It works out so nice. I have to say, this is probably one of my favorite equipment setups that we've had so far, at least on this map. It seems to work out really great together. The mods are working, the equipment feels like it fits, and it drives really realistically in that the tank pulls hard when it's full, and so you can really feel it with this tractor and everything. It just feels good driving it around. I really have enjoyed it quite a bit. We're gonna take a chance here on the traffic and just jet right out here onto this minor highway. And rather than going to fill up right now, we've got almost a half a tank. I want to just go ahead and get the course going, make sure that I can get our workers all set up, and then we will worry about getting the stuff filled up using auto drive. So I do have a field 23 marker here. It should work out great for us. And if we just come right out here, I can pop this open. First waypoint. I shouldn't have to change any of the settings. The only thing I'm worried about is the up-down rows seem to be going the opposite direction than I would normally think would be the right way to go. But maybe with the way that the curves are in this field, this is actually better. So I'm going to let it do its thing. It hasn't failed me yet, other than the fact that the start point is way on the far end of the map here for some reason. Because I'm doing the headlands last, probably. You know what? That's okay. I'm going to let it just figure it out. We're going to say go to first waypoint, and you do your thing. You do you, Courseplay. I'm not going to interfere today. And while he's doing his thing, we're going to jump right in here and see about getting out here to the combine and getting it unloaded. I think the auger is coming out right now to say it's full. Yes, it is indeed. Unfortunate. We were almost there, but couldn't quite be fast enough. That's all right. We'll be able to get it unloaded, and then I will get that semi hauled up to the yard. And hopefully we can get the semi hauled up, the grain cart unloaded, and back out to the combine before it gets full again. We'll see how well that works out. And it looks like we're on our final round pretty much here anyway. So there's a chance that we might just get done with this field before we have to unload again. I don't know if there's going to be a full pass left over there or if it's a partial pass. If it's a partial pass, that makes it easier for unloading here. And of course, I didn't swing wide enough, of course. I think we're going to try and be sneaky and just back in under this auger instead of taking another circle around in the field. There it is. And let's go. Oh no, we're going backwards. That would have been a big blunder in real life. Corn everywhere. Yeah, it does not look like a full pass over there. Oh my goodness, we're failing at driving. But it's not a half pass either, so it's going to be most of a full pass. We'll have to see how well the combine does on the way back up there, but it is just a single pass back up, so I know it'll all fit into the combine. So I don't have to worry about rushing back here to unload on the go again after this trip down, because there's only one more trip up. So the good news is we can take our time and get that semi unloaded up in the yard without having to be too stressed out about it. And there we go, all wrapped up there. Not quite a full grain cart. That's all right. I am going to just bring the grain cart, I think, up here on the hill a little bit and get it in position so when the semi is back, we can just get it unloaded. And we'll drive the combine over here once it's done with its last pass, and that'll let us get everything unloaded all at once. I think that's going to work out the best. We'll run this right up here to the yard. Didn't do too much in-cab driving today, so let's change it up and see if we can handle that. I'm going to drop down a few gears. I feel like we're really speeding through this field. This truck seems to work out pretty well here. I've been fairly impressed with it. We turn on our running lights. We get all the dash lights and everything as well. Probably a good idea to keep the running lights on when we're driving around. And I think we'll turn right in this way, see if we can cut through the yard. I'm just noticing now that the RPM gauge, it's working. It seemed odd. It doesn't go very high here, but that's just farm sim, I think. I don't think the gauge, if I turn my HUD back on, it goes much over 2,000 RPMs. And let's go ahead and get that first hopper emptying out. We should have plenty of capacity for the wet corn in the bins here. And like I said, we're going to have to figure out a better way to get some propane up here next episode. I'll look around. I'm sure DJ Modding probably posted something on his itch.io page for you'll need the following mods to in order to use the grain dryers or something along those lines, or maybe this is one of those things where I'm also on an old version of the map and just need to get updated, which I can't wait. That's one of the things we're going to do in the winter here on this save. I'm super excited for that. I know we're spreading all of this slurry in our fields right now, and then we're going to update and maybe or maybe not have any slurry spread in our fields after that. But I figured we'd just do it from the realism perspective, and I can always go in and make the changes via the precision farming console commands to apply some fertilizer and stuff to our fields if I need to kind of catch us back up to where we were. So my plan is to be taking a backup of the save so I can compare the two side by side when we upgrade to the new map. We'll see how it goes. And I'll definitely document that process for anybody that's like me and hasn't gone through that, because it's not like it's unique to this map. I run into these kinds of things on pretty much any map I play where there's a major update to it after you start playing, so it's always a good idea to just kind of know how to navigate that. I'm going to get the semi parked in place here. I'll pull up so the back hopper's under the auger. That way I can just pull the grain cart forward when the time comes. And then let's jump all the way down here to the end of the field and get this combine brought back up. It's fuller than I thought it'd be. We're at 74% of a hopper here as well, which is great. We're going to get a good amount of corn here in the bins, which will be a lot of fun. So I'm going to go ahead and get everything folded up and ready to put away while we drive our way down here. I'm not sure you'd probably want to be folding the corn header up while bouncing down the field. Probably wouldn't be bouncing down the field at a diagonal going 19 miles an hour either in a cornfield, but you know, the power of farm sims sometimes. All right, I'm gonna let the combine start unloading here. We're gonna get in and get the grain cart to start unloading, and hopefully we can kind of get all of this into the semi. It's gonna be close actually, because the semi holds just less than 1,000, and I'm not sure how much is still in the combine, but we were at 700 and something when I started unloading here into the semi, so it's going to be close. I'm going to go ahead and pull this forward. I think I'm going to have to get out and move the combine forward to match. There we are. Yeah, there's still a few bushels in that combine. So we'll have a few left in the grain cart when we're all said and done here, it looks like. Yep. 104 bushels. That's all right. We'll go ahead and drive this up into the yard, I guess, since that's the machine we're already in. And then we'll come back out here and get the rest of the equipment brought up and take a look at how many total bushels of corn we're going to end up in, or I guess we'll probably be looking at it in liters, since I'm not sure that I can convert that to bushels through the interfaces I have available right now, although there is a new update to unit conversion mod coming out here soon that is going to expand the number of screens that get converted to bushels. So I'm going to be looking to get that into the next episode here as well and see how that works out. It should be a lot of fun to check out. Thundar always does such amazing work with his mods, and it's exciting to see a unit convert getting a big enhancement and being able to see bushels on more screens in Farm Sim. So stay tuned for that in the next episode. And as long as I'm tabbing through the equipment, I thought we'd check in real quick on the slurry spreader. Looks like we've got some good stuff going on out here. It's not quite all the way to the end doing the first passes here, but making really good progress. So no complaints at all. All right, we got all of the corn unloaded from the semi in the first batch. Now we're just grabbing the little bit that was left in the grain cart here, and we'll get this tossed into the wet bins, and let's take a look at how much corn we actually managed to harvest out of that one field. And it looks like we ended up with none. Haha, nothing shows up in this menu because the outputs on our production facility are probably only the dry corn. So I have to come in here and see, oh, hey, this menu actually does show bushels at least. We've got just over 3,000 bushels of dry corn, which makes sense. We had 3 semis plus a little bit. But we've got, that's half of the soybeans we got. So that's very interesting. We should make some good money there. And looks like there's a great demand at the feed store. I always love that twangy sound that the great demand makes. All right, well, we got all the corn harvested that we wanted. We've got all of the chaff and other things moved out of here. We're making huge progress on our slurry application, and we've started digging into our late fall haying operations. So I think things are going really well on the farm here. Next episode, we're going to finish up cutting some hay here. We're going to do some baling. And I think we've got some tillage to do on a couple of these fields. So I think this field, both of these fields out here that were corn, are going to need some tillage done. We'll get that going. And yeah, I don't know. I'm sure we've got some other jobs to do here around the farm. Hopefully you enjoyed the episode. If you have, drop a like. Helps me out a lot. That's all for today. Kedrick out. And it drives pretty realistically in that the tank really pulls. Oh my gosh.